Welcome to another episode of I.N.SANE's Asylum. The doctor is insane. And today, I just got myself this movie. As above, so below. Seen the previews of this movie a while back. And here I was thinking about looking for it, but I forgot what the name of it was, but I came across it at Walmart today, so I got it. Okay, spoiler alerts. You know the drill. If you don't want to be spoiled, turn off this video. Because I'm getting ready to tell what goes on in the movie. Alright, the movie opens with a girl named Scarlett going down in the catacombs below Paris, trying to get as many pictures of markings before a destruction happens. I don't remember how that destruction happens, but it does, and she only has a certain time to get out of there before it's too late. And then we jump to the present. Her and her friend Benji, who is filming the whole thing, might have had this whole movie takes place in camera views, kind of like a Blair Witch deal. So Scarlett and Benji team up with their other friend George. Well, Benji and George meet for the first time. But anyway, George knows how to read these markings, so he agrees to tag along just to read the markings. But then they meet up with another guy named Pap, who's going to be their tour guide below the catacombs. And George doesn't plan to come along. Along with Pap is his girlfriend Susie, along with his friend Zed. So all of them are getting ready to go into the catacombs. George still not planning to come along, but for some reason he ends up falling into the catacombs with them, so he's stuck with going with them. Anyway, the 6 characters are now in the catacombs. And Scarlett and Pap are fighting over which way to get to the other side of this one wall. Scarlett suggests going through this doorway that's all bricked up, while Pap is suggesting to climb through all these bones. But anyway, they go through all the bones. Pap mentions that his friend Lataupe went through that doorway and never came out. That anybody that goes through that doorway never comes out. So he'd rather take his chances climbing through the bones. So they all go through the bones, and Benji kind of gets stuck for a bit. But then he manages to end up coming out probably about maybe 5 or 10 minutes later. But anyway, they see that the other side of that doorway that Pap didn't want them to go through is actually on the other side of that wall as well. So Benji kind of snaps on Pap for a moment. Pap, who says he'd never been through there, they go through there, and Pap has this signature where he where he spray paints the word Pap with a circle around it, and they see that inside one of the hallways. So they kind of question Pap about never being in there. But anyway, next thing, the keyboard, the piano. If any of you seen the previews, there was this piano where, well, George, he mentioned he and his brother Denny played this piano, and it's sort of like they want to play this one song, but they could never finish it because the A4 key doesn't work, and he's trying to play that song on the piano, and just like his piano, the A4 key doesn't work. So in a way it kind of tells him that it's actually his piano that they played with as a kid. Let's see what else. Okay, they all kind of reunite. Oh, forgetting. They hear this phone ring, and Pat mentions the phones are disconnected below, so there could be a phone ringing, but they find the phone. Scarlett answers it. The voice on the other side of the phone, assuming it's supposed to be her dad. Anyway, says her name. That's all I know about it. So, and then right after that, they find Lataupe It was Pat's friend that he talked about going through that doorway and never coming out. Anyway, now there's 7 people all together. And then it's sort of like, as soon as I remember what they do next, it's sort of like they hit this dead end. Yeah, Lil Pap tells them their way out is to go down. And it's sort of like they hit this dead end. And then Scarlet learns she has to pull a certain stone, or otherwise they get smashed by all the stones. So they had to do this riddle. But this riddle expired at a time, so they had to go with the old answer to this riddle. So they managed to pull the right stone. And then they make it into the room. Scarlet comes across this design on the wall where she pulls out this ruby that's supposed to have some kind of healing power. Well, anyway, there was a decoy treasure right behind a jail cell. Right behind a jail cell, like bars. Anyway, while Scarlet and George are focusing on this ruby, the others are pushing in this jail cell trying to take the treasure, only for her stones to fall. Lapat falls in the floor below, so he kind of gets separated, and Susie kind of scars her arm. So Scarlet manages to use this ruby to heal Susie's arm. And then they manage to get back to, they pass a dead body on a tombstone, on a crypt. Anyway, they manage to get back in this room and they see Lapout again, who is paranoid. And then Susie tries to get close to Lapout, but Lapout bangs her head into the floor and kills her instantly. And he disappears, never to be seen again. And Scarlet can't heal Susie, so next they're trying to go back, but in a reverse way. It's sort of like a mirror image going down, which actually goes up, but if you know how that works. If not, it'll be confusing to explain, but anyway. Next, Benji is climbing up a tunnel. Oh yeah, and they come across these cultist people. Well, anyway, this cult woman kind of walks past him while he's in the tunnel, and he kind of looks around, and then it's sort of like he sees her coming towards him, and then he falls through this tunnel and lands right in front of Scarlet. And he's dead now. So at least 4 people left. And then it's sort of like they're over the bones again. And George sees Denny. He's wanting to rescue Denny, but Scarlet's reminding him that it's all illusion. And then Pat suddenly comes across a burning car. He sees a victim from his past that he was unable to rescue, or he didn't try to rescue. Anyway, this was the inner demon of his past that this catacombs was using against him, so it pulled him towards the car as the car blows up and pulls him under the ground, and his feet are left sticking up. So once again, Scarlet's unable to save him now. So, and the next thing you know, they come across these statues. The statue character bites a hole in George's neck as Zed and Scarlet drags him away from the statue. And then Scarlet is trying to use the stone to heal him. I've been calling it a ruby, but it's actually called a stone. But it is a ruby color. But anyway, she tried to use the stone to heal him, but then she realized she had the wrong stone all along. So she had to go all the way back to this painting. And then it's sort of like she was looking for the stone, and then she suddenly seen that there was a mirror covered in dirt. So she wipes off the mirror and realized the powers of the stone are in her now. So she goes back to Zeb and George. My dad, on the way to the painting, she punches that statue monster. And then it's sort of like she also walks past a puddle of blood that has hands reaching out and trying to pull her down. But anyway, as she's coming back to George and Zed, she punches that statue again, and she sees her dead dad hanging on a noose. She pulls the towel off his head and then realizes it was her dad hanging on a noose. So she goes back to George and then realizes that she has the healing power in her now. She kisses George and his neck heals. And then it's like they come across this tunnel that goes down, this well that goes down. And then they realize they have no ropes, so they have to jump down in it. And both George and Zed having doubts about jumping down in it, but they end up going along with the plan to jump down. So they all trying to collect themselves, and then George and Scarlet find this round circle on the floor. So what they do is they kind of turn that circle as they see light on the other side. So they manage to go through it, which is a manhole inside the city of Paris. So they all climb out, and then they all hug, and then Zed walks away as Scarlet and George continue to hug. And then we go back to Scarlet's interview. She kind of does a documentary right before they all go into the cave. Well, anyway, she's continuing this documentary. And then that's how the movie pretty much ends. To admit the truth, there's a lot of things that go on in this movie that I just can't remember everything. So I might have left something important out just to give you a heads up. But this is all I remember right at the moment. But anyway, that's all for this episode of I.N.SANE's Asylum. The doctor is out.